It looks genuinely frightening. Hey guys, what's up? It's Kelly again and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about my favorite holiday, which is Christmas. I'm going to talk about some German Christmas traditions and my personal experiences with those traditions, and then I'm also going to talk about my family's Christmas traditions because I feel like they're a little different from what you might see American families doing in movies and TV shows or what you may have heard about. And my parents lived in Christmas for a little... They didn't live in Christmas, guys. That's literally not possible. My parents lived in Germany for a little bit of time, and my mom adopted a lot of German Christmas traditions, and then also we just have some of our own unique ones. So I think it'll be interesting for you guys to hear about those. But don't worry, I'm not going to talk about a pickle in the Christmas tree because I'm pretty sure at this point that's an American tradition that all the Americans just think is a German tradition, and it's not, much like German chocolate cake. The first one I'm going to talk about is St. Nicholas Day. St. Nicholas Day is celebrated on the 6th of December, and the night before, all of the children are supposed to put out their clean shoes outside of their bedroom door, and then St. Nicholas will come by and put in their shoes some candy, some treats, maybe some small toys for the children to wake up to the next morning. This is a tradition that my mom adopted, and so every 5th of December, my sister and I were putting our shoes outside of our bedroom door for St. Nicholas to come by and drop some stuff into them. And I never really understood why I was doing this when all of my friends at school were not celebrating St. Nicholas Day, but I was a candy loving kid, I still am, and so I was more than willing to put my shoes out so that I could get some treats before Christmas. And my mom is still really amped about this holiday, and even though my sister and I don't live at home anymore, she's still always calling my sister or texting her to remind her of the 5th of December to have her kids put out their shoes so that my sister can fill them with candy and toys. Advent calendars are a huge deal from what I saw in Germany. There were stores all across Germany selling all different types of advent calendars, and I even saw some people making their own advent calendars. By the way, some people on Instagram asked me if Misha made me an advent calendar this year, and I'm sad to say that he did not. So now I have something to give him crap about. I even had a coworker in Germany give me an advent calendar for Christmas, which was a first for me. They're in the US, but they're just not as popular as they are in Germany. What is becoming more popular in the US though are more adult themed advent calendars. So you'll see one where each day you get a different bottle of beer or a different bottle of liquor. I've even seen intimate toy themed advent calendars. Aldi, or Aldi as Germans say, is a store that's also in the US, and they were selling a wine advent calendar. And guys, this was in such demand that there were people lined up outside of the Aldi's here at least in the DC area, about an hour or even longer before the store opened so that they could make sure that they were able to get a wine advent calendar before they ran out. I think they were about $70 each, and every day you got a little mini bottle of wine. And so these are what are becoming more and more popular, more so than like the children versions. Growing up, my parents never gave us advent calendars. That wasn't really a concept my sister and I were aware of. Instead, we had other ways to count down until Christmas. My mom had this little calendar that was made of a green fabric with a little Christmas scene on it, and there were a bunch of pockets, each marked with a day for December, and there was a little stuffed mouse that you would move from pocket to pocket as you got closer and closer to Christmas. My sister and I would also make paper garland out of red and green construction paper, where we would craft 25 rings and loop them together, and then each day we would wake up and tear a ring off of the garland, and then as you got closer to Christmas, obviously the garland would get smaller and smaller with fewer and fewer rings. So my sister and I didn't really do advent calendars, we just had other ways of doing that same concept. Krampus Run. This looks wild. Krampus Run is really popular in Austria and some other countries, but it isn't really done so much in Germany except for I think Bavaria. But I really wanted to talk about it in this video because it is just so interesting to me. I had never heard of the Krampus tradition until my friend Silvana, who's from Austria, told me all about it. So on different days in early December or maybe even late November, everyone in the village or town will come to the city center for a sort of parade where there will be people dressed up as Krampus characters, where the dominant feature is a very scary looking wooden mask. The parade will also feature St. Nicholas, but while the role of St. Nicholas is to focus on the good children, the role of the Krampus is to focus on the bad children. The Krampus characters will walk around and hand out coal to children and maybe even pull their hair or hit them with switches or take them away from their parents or scare them in some way. And the whole idea is to scare bad children into being good. It looks genuinely frightening. After Silvana showed me a video about it, I really wanted to see it because it looks so cool, but unfortunately I haven't been able to be in Germany in the regions where it happens at the right time yet, so it's on my bucket list. I hope to get there one day. I heard it's getting a little bit more commercialized than what people would prefer, probably because of people like me seeing YouTube videos of it and wanting to see it for themselves, but it looks like a really, really cool tradition. Something that every American who has ever been to Germany in the month of December will remember is the magic of the Christmas markets. Most villages, towns, and cities in Germany will have a Christmas market, which ranges in size depending on how big the city is, but it will usually include booths selling different gifts and treats and drinks like Glühwein. Glühwein is a warmed wine that's spiced with cinnamon and cloves and some added citrus, and you can get red or white, but I feel like red was way more popular, at least that was my perception. It's usually served in these little mugs with the name of the Christmas market and the year inscribed on it, and I felt like getting Glühwein at the Christmas market sort of took center stage of all social outings during December in Germany. People will meet at the Christmas market to share a Glühwein or start or end their night with a Glühwein at the Christmas market, and so on. I drank a lot of Glühwein when I was in Germany, and fortunately my friend Silvana, who I mentioned earlier, and her husband Nick put together this really fun day of Christmas market hopping where we bought a group Rhineland-Pfalz train ticket and we went to like 5 or 6 different Christmas markets within the region all in one day. It was a blast and definitely one of my favorite memories from when I was living in Germany. So I understand that in Germany it's traditional to open up all of your gifts on Christmas Eve versus Christmas Day. And there are some American families who will allow the members of the family to pick out one gift to be able to open on Christmas Eve and then they'll open up the rest on Christmas Day. Well, my mom was having none of that. We definitely had to wait until Christmas Day to open up all of our gifts, and to go even further, my mom was really strict about the regimented way in which we opened our gifts. So we had a little rotation established and each of us would open one gift one at a time so we could all appreciate each other's reactions to the gifts and thank each other properly for the gifts. And looking back, it was a really nice way of doing it because I've seen some families where it's just an absolute free-for-all and I feel like everything kind of gets lost in the shuffle and it doesn't really seem as much of like a bonding tradition as what it felt like in my family. We also opened up all of our gifts that were with our stockings after dinner during dessert, and this was done far more informally, so we didn't have this rotation at all. We were able to just like open our gifts because it was usually chocolate and candy and maybe some gifts like chapstick and things like that. Okay, so I mentioned in my one German train video how I kept noticing these letter number combinations written in chalk above certain doors throughout Germany, especially where I was living in Mainz, and I didn't know what that meant, but thankfully some of my viewers told me what it meant, so now I know that it is related to the holiday Epiphany. Epiphany is a legal holiday in certain areas of Germany and it's celebrated on January 6th, and it is strongly rooted in religion. Children might be given gifts from the 3 wise men on this day. Star singers or Sternsingers go door to door to collect money for charity projects, and then any home that offers a donation will be given a chalked blessing. I read that the letters CMB stand for a Latin phrase to mean "May Christ bless this house," and I've also read that it stands for the 3 wise men's names. A German website about star singers indicated that nearly 300,000 Germans will celebrate this holiday in the fashion that I just described, and I've just never really seen it in the US. I mean, I'm not religious myself, so maybe I'm not aware of it happening. I know that there are people who celebrate Epiphany, but it's definitely not well known like it seems to be in Germany at least. Another tradition in Germany is the Christmas angel. Christmas angel decorations are found all throughout Germany around Christmas time, and some Germans even top their Christmas tree with a Christmas angel. This is another tradition that my mom adopted. So whereas all of my friends were having their Christmas trees topped with stars, my mom was putting a Christmas angel on top of her Christmas tree. In Germany, as it gets closer and closer to Christmas, you start seeing Stollen everywhere. In fact, there's an entire fest dedicated to Stollen held in Dresden every year. Stollen is a cake-like bread, and it often has nuts and candied fruits, but my favorite, and the favorite I associate most with Stollen, is the kind with marzipan added. I've seen Stollen sold all over the US, but I think that fruitcake might be more commonly known, although it's often made fun of for just not tasting very good. I personally really like the taste of Stollen, and I do not like fruitcake. Please do not give me a fruitcake. I don't want it. Before I get into my family's Christmas traditions, I want to talk about Elf on the Shelf for a second. I have no idea if Elf on the Shelf is a popular thing in Germany, if it exists at all outside of the US, but this thing has taken over the US by storm, and I thought that the trend would wear out a couple of years ago, but it is still going very, very strong. I don't think a day passes in December where I don't see someone posting a photo of Elf on the Shelf on my Facebook, and there's all sorts of memes and like Reddit posts and so on showing some very, very creative ways parents have come up with to use their Elf on the Shelf. So Elf on the Shelf, if you don't know, is a book, and it comes with a little elf figurine, and the idea is that you read the book to the kid and you set the elf on the shelf, and then every night after the kid goes to bed you move the elf, and so that way when the kid wakes up and sees that the elf has moved, the kid thinks that the elf is real. Like I said, I don't know if this is a thing outside of the US, so if you're not American, can you write in the comments if you've ever heard of Elf on the Shelf before, beyond maybe some random memes that have popped up on your Reddit account, because I'm really curious if this is just like an American thing. It is trending hard here. Alright, so on to my family's Christmas traditions. Guys, words cannot describe the passion my mom has for Christmas. This woman loves Christmas, it's her favorite holiday, and she goes big. First of all, she plasters the entire house with Christmas decorations to the point where every corner of every room becomes Christmas themed right after Thanksgiving. But her most notable and prized decor is her Christmas village. Now, I tried to find the origin of Christmas village and I found some conflicting information. Some attribute it to Germany, more specifically German immigrants that came to the US, and some attribute it to Pennsylvania of all places, which is the state that I'm from, so that was kind of strange. But regardless of the origin, my mom has made setting up Christmas Village into her own form of art. It started out relatively small with some homemade houses and buildings, but it has turned into a massive undertaking. Her village has a brewery, it has wine and cheese shops, it has a hunting lodge, a Christmas tree farm, and it even has a German-style Christmas market, complete with a guy pushing a cart selling heiße Würstchen. You could spend a lot of time looking at my mother's Christmas village to find all of the little details that she's worked into it and still be surprised the next time that you look at it. It is really impressive. And while my sister and I were always helping her to decorate the Christmas tree, the Christmas village was understandably hands off for the children. That was all my mom. Another tradition that my mom has is setting up Santa's runway. So she would give my sister and I candles that were in little decorative tins, and we would go out to the sidewalk leading up to our house and set them along the path. And the idea of it was so that Santa could see the runway to our house. And then another thing she would do was give us little Ziploc bags full of oats and glitter, and then my sister and I would go out to the yard and throw the glitter, sprinkling it around to make sure that the reindeer didn't miss our house, because they would both see the glitter and smell the oats. And actually, she wasn't the one that would give us these little bags of oats and glitter. Peter D. Elf would give us the little bags of oats and glitter. Who's Peter D. Elf? Peter D. Elf is a character that my mother completely invented, and my sister and I would write letters back and forth, not just with Santa, but also with Peter D. Elf and a number of other Christmas characters that my mom completely fabricated. She had an entire cast of people that we would write letters to, like Peter D. Elf, as I mentioned. We would talk to Mrs. Claus, we would talk to the girl elves, we would talk to Barney the elf, we would talk to some of the reindeer, and each of them would write back to us, and then they would give us gifts on Christmas Day so that all of the gifts weren't just given from Santa. And each character had its own sort of genre of gift that they would give my sister and I. So Mrs. Claus would always give us clothes, the girl elves would always give us really girly things, Barney would always give us books, and now I'm wondering if Barney was named after Barnes and Nobles, if that's where she got the idea from. Peter D. Elf would give us sort of random things, and then Santa would always give us the bigger gifts. When email started, yes, I'm old enough to remember when email started, she made an account for Peter D. Elf, and then we were able to email back and forth with him instead of writing letters. So the whole Elf on the Shelf thing that I mentioned earlier is cute and all, but I feel really, really lucky that I had my mom who put in so much effort into making Christmas really special for my sister and I. And looking back, it is really impressive how much effort she put into it, because she had a full-time job and was taking care of us and my dad, basically a third child. So kudos to my mom, guys. I want to quickly talk about just a few more Christmas traditions in my family. My mom really likes to decorate her tree with unique ornaments. She doesn't like to go and get all the matching bulbs from the store like some people decorate their tree with. And so every year she would buy a Christmas ornament and gift us each with our own very unique ornament that we would decorate the tree with. And I kind of took on this in my own little way. Instead of buying a Christmas ornament once a year for myself, everywhere I travel to, I try to buy a Christmas ornament. And it's really fun then, because when I bring out my tree and I start decorating, I get to kind of relive those memories and remember all of the places that I've been to. A lot of families in the US will have for Christmas dinner a turkey or a ham, but my mom was always really sick of making basically the same meal that she just made the month before for Thanksgiving. And so many years ago, she decided to just scratch the whole turkey ham thing, and she started doing her own thing. And she calls it Christmas Around the World. And she and my dad basically pick out a country, and then my mom will feverishly look up all of the traditional Christmas foods that that country will have for Christmas or any other special occasion if they don't predominantly celebrate Christmas, and then that's what we will eat for our Christmas dinner. So we've been to places like Greece and China, we've been to Italy, Germany of course, and so on for Christmas dinner, which I think is such a cool idea. And lastly, it's a big thing, at least in the US, for people to send each other Christmas cards. And some people will just buy a manufactured card and write your name and then sign it. Some people will get their own cards made with photos of their family or themselves. And then some people will include a Christmas letter, which basically recaps what the year was like for that family or that person. My mom does a Christmas letter every year, and it is a very big deal, and she tries to make it a little different every year by getting creative. So one year she used frames of a cartoon to basically explain what our family had done over the past year, and another year she wrote it from the perspective of the dogs, so it was written as though the dogs were writing out what had happened to us throughout the year. So it's really fun for her to do this. And then to find out who she's sending a Christmas letter to every year, she keeps a very intense Christmas address list. It's a lot easier now that we have email and Facebook and so on to find out people's addresses, but back in the heyday of my mom's Christmas address list, she kept it meticulously, and anytime she received some correspondence from someone and noticed their address was different, she would go and change it out on the Christmas card list. Even if she got this letter in like March and no one's thinking about Christmas, my mom is thinking about Christmas. And then also she would keep track of who sent her a card every year. And if you went 2 years in a row without sending my family a card, you were stricken from the list. My mother would ruthlessly remove you, and you were dead to the Christmas card list until you sent another Christmas card. And if you're all wondering, I'm not on the Christmas card list anymore, but my mom has to send me one because I'm her daughter. Alright guys, that's all I've got for you today. I mean, it's actually not all I've got for you today. I could talk about Christmas for several more hours, but I'll put a pin in the topic for now. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and guys, please write in the comments what your favorite Christmas tradition is, and ensure that you write what country you're from. There are people from all over the world watching my channel, and I really want to learn what sort of Christmas traditions you celebrate in your country, and it's very difficult to discern what country you're from based on your little avatar and handle, so make sure you put what country you're from. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Thank you so much to my patrons for the support you've given me, and a special thanks to Amy for letting me use her footage that she took while she was in Salzburg celebrating Krampus night. That is so cool. Thanks guys, I'll see you next time. Bye! Hey guys, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Kelly Does Her Thing so that you can follow me through my stories. I hope to see y'all there.